Hey friends, so you've been in chronic pain for quite a while and you have tried every method possible to get rid of it. And maybe it did work for a couple of hours or maybe even a couple of days, but then the pain came right back and with a vengeance. And you are just tired of it and you want a solution that works for good and a natural one. Well, that was me. I have a solution and I cannot wait to tell you about it because it truly does work. So this video is all about what somatic movements is. What does soma mean? What exactly is somatic movement exercises? And I'll also tell you some principles about clinical somatic education. So first of all, my story. I have had a lifetime of back pain, a lifetime. I fell down the steps when I was 4 years old so traumatically that I bit my tongue off and had to have it sewn back on. Yep, much to the dismay of my brothers. But anyway, we didn't realize exactly how traumatic the fall was until I was much older. I would have a job as a teenager working at a fast food restaurant, and only within an hour or two, my back would hurt so bad. And I thought I just had to get used to standing for a while. That wasn't the case. The pain never really went away. I always struggled with it. I didn't know it wasn't normal, even into my 20s. It seems like I would re-injure my back quite easily, and then I would be out for like a week in incredible pain, not able to do anything for my family. And do you know how frustrating that is when you can't even help your family? You can't do what you need to do for your kids because you are in so much pain. If you do know, then you're going to want to hear about this. Somatic movement exercises absolutely works. To be completely open and honest, I'm not selling anything in this video. You're going to want to stay tuned until the end to hear the opportunity I have for you where you can get yourself out of pain through somatic movements. Let's first talk about the word somatic. You've probably heard the word soma from biology class maybe a long time ago. Soma refers to the body of an organism encompassing all cells that make up the tissues and organs of an organism. With somatic movements, soma refers to the body as experienced from within. The focus is on the internal perception and awareness of bodily sensations and movements. For example, go ahead and stand up with your arms by your sides completely relaxed and focus just for a moment on somewhere in your body. Let's start with your lower back. Think about how your lower back is feeling. Do you feel pain anywhere? Is there any type of muscle tightness or pain, maybe on your lower right side or your lower left side? And then move your focus on up towards your waist. How about there? Do you feel any pain throughout that area? And go ahead and let your focus pull on up to your shoulders. Do you feel like maybe one shoulder is pulling more forward than the other? Or maybe you have one shoulder higher than the other. Maybe you have some more pain in one shoulder more than the other. What you are doing is making that mind and body connection that's necessary in order to do a somatic movement effectively. And that's what I teach you. You're becoming aware of some things that's going on in your body that you may not have even noticed until I asked you that. You will notice in my online courses, I will have you bring attention to how you are feeling internally, how each distinct muscle might feel as you do the slow movements. It is a way to strengthen the connection between your mind and your body. Many people endure pain for years before they finally pinpoint the origin of their pain. By connecting the mind and body, we can maintain a constant state of awareness of our physical state. So the term somatic has become a trend in recent years. You may have heard it used with different phrases. For example, somatic yoga or somatic therapy or somatic body work or even somatic dance. These terms all emphasize the integration of body awareness and internal perception in various practices. In fact, I get asked a lot if I teach somatic yoga or somatic dance. While I've taught dance in my past, decades ago, it is not what I train people on now. Somatic education involves teaching specialized movement techniques through both hands-on guidance and self-care practices. It emphasizes student responsibility for their own learning and functioning. The goal of a somatic educator or instructor is to empower the student with tools to manage or eliminate pain and improve posture, movement, and overall function throughout their lives. Now, to be clear, I don't do any hands-on instruction through the online courses, obviously. So what is a somatic movement? A somatic movement is performed with conscious awareness, focused on the internal experience rather than the external appearance or outcome. It is a slow, gentle movement with the purpose of retraining the nervous system. Retraining the nervous system involves releasing the muscle tension, which relieves chronic pain. Conscious attention is the key to the learning process. We cannot learn something new if we aren't aware of what we're doing. Think about the last time you learned something new. It could have been a new job, learning new computer programs and processes, or a golf swing, or a line dance, or anything else. At first, it took extreme conscious effort to every detail while you were training your mind, which is training your body. And then within time, you do not need to use as much conscious effort as you formed what is commonly known as muscle memory, where your nervous system is advancing from training mode to effective movement. Somatic movements is more about the quality of the movement than it is about the speed of it. The movements are slow, but the results are quick. There is no increased speed to build up with somatic movements. In fact, it is often the subconscious, rapid movements that create habitual postural patterns that are not good for us, that get us into this pain. The internal experience of the movement will always remain the focus. Whether your focus is to get out of pain, improve your posture, prevent recurring injuries, or even prevent aging. Generally speaking, any movement can be considered a somatic movement if it is performed slowly, consciously, and with the intention of focusing on the internal experience of the movement. Now let's talk about some principles of clinical somatic education. First, let's define chronic musculoskeletal pain. It is a pain that affects the muscles, ligaments, tendons, bones, and nerves. Now you probably have a pain in one of these categories, which is why you're still watching this video. This musculoskeletal pain, poor posture with limited movement, and physical degeneration are most often caused by learned muscular patterns. In order to understand this, we need to address how our body learns to move. Basically, our nervous system tells our body to move in a certain way. Our muscles respond, then our skeleton moves. So what can cause musculoskeletal dysfunction or pain? Nervous system diseases, genetic makeup, metabolic or immune system dysfunction, diet, activity level, bacteria, or even a virus. But if all these possible causes can be ruled out, it is fairly safe to assume that learned habitual muscular patterns are the cause of the issue, and they are what must be addressed in order for function to improve. Those issues can be chronic pain, chronic stress, muscle tension, postural distortions, joint degeneration, and stress fractures. These are most often the result of how the nervous system is functioning. These are signs that there is something wrong with that communication link. It might be communicating correctly, but not with the messages you want it to communicate with. The second principle of somatic education is about active movement. If you want to create lasting change in the functioning of your nervous system, then you have a responsibility in creating that active movement. What does this mean, and how is this different from other forms of therapy? Well, there's passive, when something is done to you, such as a massage, a chiropractic adjustment, or a therapist lifting your leg while you remain relaxed. Most other modalities are passive, therefore they are short-lived. They typically do not last more than a few days. Active movement, on the other hand, is where you move voluntarily during the lesson. You are taught how to do the movement, and then it is your responsibility to do that movement. With somatic movements, it is both passive and active. Oh my gosh, I should eat first. With somatic movements, it is both passive and active. Remember at the beginning of this video when I had you do an internal scan of your body where your chronic pain and muscle tension was? Well, that is the passive part of a somatic movement, and it is essential to do before you participate in the active movement. Once you engage your internal awareness, then you engage in the voluntary movement. The passive part of the somatic movement calms your nervous system and increases your internal awareness, while the active part creates that long-lasting change and retrains your learned muscular patterns. Many people are impatient, and this is where you need to put on your patience pants. The passive part of the internal awareness must not be skipped. It is an essential part of the learning. With this continual passive plus active learning and somatic movements, you will retrain your nervous system, and that's exciting because retraining your nervous system is what gets you out of chronic pain. The third principle is that the underlying cause of the problem must be addressed. How many times have you made a visit to a professional office for your chronic pain and you left wondering, well, what was the cause of it? You might have been given a prescription for the symptoms, but the cause was not addressed. As long as the symptoms are the only thing being addressed, the pain or issue will not go away for good. It is only a mask. Many times it is assumed that the problem is only occurring in the area of the body where the pain is being felt, but it can be beyond the problem area. Clinical somatic education addresses the underlying causes of pain by working with the nervous system to address full body patterns of posture and movement. It all works together. Another common phrase is called holistic. This is an example of holistic health. Because the body works as one, the whole body must be addressed. If there is pain in one part of the body, it is most often a symptom of a dysfunctional full body pattern. In order for the problem to go away for good, the entire pattern must be addressed. This is why it is so important to not only learn somatic movements from a certified somatic movement instructor, but also as a structure course and not only one movement. You see, clinical somatics addresses the underlying causes of pain by working with the core of the body first, then moving outward to the extremities. The core of the body is where movement and all postural patterns begin. We all know how important it is to build a strong foundation in anything in our life. It applies to structures, to relationships, to finance, and it also applies to the nervous system. The last principle is one of empowerment. By taking the initiative to correct your postural habits and get out of pain, you are taking care of yourself without relying on others to maintain your health. This is education that once learned, you always have that knowledge, and you always have that power, and you always have that control to maintain your musculoskeletal health. With each somatic movement you learn, you practice them for a few days or even up to a week on your own, in the convenience and comfort of your own home. These self-care exercises are slow and gentle, and most people find them to be very relaxing and enjoyable. You can then move on to the next somatic movement in the course. Once that mini course is completed, you can move on to the next mini course in that series until you've completed them all. I've created each program or series of courses to be manageable by breaking them down into mini courses. Some people are in such extreme pain and need relief right away. That's why I broke down the courses into mini courses. And each mini course has a specific goal. The goal of the first set of mini courses is to get you out of your pain and suffering so that you can return back to functioning in your daily life. The second set is a continuation by focusing more on stabilizing the core and is meant to be completed directly after the first mini course is completed. And the third set finishes it off with somatic movements that can correct your posture, preventing you from recurring injuries and muscle tension. It is often in this set where you're moving out to the functionality of the extremities from the core. This rounds out addressing the full body patterns of posture and movement. Not all series have the same number of somatic movements in the entire course. It depends on the type of postural pattern. They are created specifically for common pain patterns and in a specific order. There are some somatic movements that should not be learned until you are comfortable with a previous one. Now, a couple more quick things to address. First of all, being in tune with your body and being flexible. You don't need to be flexible to learn these movements. However, I have experienced personally that I became more flexible as a result of releasing that chronic muscle tension, allowing me to be more flexible in my day-to-day life, whether it's just bending down and picking something up or even just working out. It isn't necessary to be flexible to do the movements. However, a side result is possibly becoming even more flexible. Now, I realize that not everyone is instinctively in tune to their body, which is why it's very important to do an internal scan of your body while you're doing the movements. Maybe you're incredibly in tune with your body and you can feel everything that's going on a regular basis, almost so much to the point that it's distracting. I am that way, and it's not always a great thing, but it is meant to serve a purpose. Learning somatic movements helped me become even more aware of how I was feeling in areas that I didn't even know I had postural issues. As you move through a course in a series, you will become more and more aware of your internal perceptions. You will find that you'll become more easily aware of what's going on in your body. And within time, you'll have trained yourself to know exactly which somatic movement you need to do to address that chronic pain or muscle tension. The intention of my somatic movement courses is to give you the tools you need to make yourself the expert of your body, so you can retrain your nerves, bringing yourself from painful to pain-free. My name is Julie Cott, the owner of Midwest Somatics and Wellness. I am honored to train you, to empower you, to give you hope that there is a solution that works to get you out of chronic pain and suffering. You can play that favorite sport. You can enjoy a night out dancing with your favorite person. You can pick up those grandbabies, or you can go outside and enjoy those everyday activities with your kids. You don't have to live in fear anymore. You can do all of this with somatic movement education. I know because I did. Literally weeks after I learned my very first somatic movement, I was hiking in the Ozark Mountains. I remember getting tears in my eyes thinking, I didn't think this was possible. A month ago, I couldn't even walk without falling to my knees in absolute pain because of the pain in my lower back running down my legs. I didn't even know that there was any possible way out. And 1 month later, I'm hiking in the Ozark Mountains with zero pain. And the same thing can happen for you. Well, thanks for listening, and I hope this has provided you with some value and even some hope. Please click the like and subscribe button. Then you'll be notified of new videos with more valuable information about somatic movements and the world of living pain-free. One more thing, enter the number 145 in the comments below, and I will send you a free checklist to see if you are suffering from tech neck. You can begin your journey going from painful to pain-free.